No turning back. It starts in 3, 2, 1.
The World of Warcraft podcast, so you don't have to. This is The Instance.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to The Instance. This is The Instance, episode 591. Yeah, 591, if you can believe it. Holy crap. We are 9 measly episodes away from episode 600. This is February 28th, 2020, with me, Scott Johnson, and Garrett Weinzierl. Hello, Garrett.
Hey, Scott. What are we doing for 600? We gonna go, get a cake?
I don't know. You want to do something big? What do we do here? This is the thing. Once you get past there's certain milestones, right? Like a lot of podcasters will hit 50 and they'll go, yeah, we should do a thing. And then they do a big thing. And then 100 comes and yeah, we should do a thing. But then, I don't know, once you get past 100, 200, what do you do? I don't know.
Randy, this is your 9-week warning. Get cleared to come on the show.
Yeah, come be with us. Let's do that. Let's get Randy in here. Let's get you. Let's get Patrick. Let's get some other old co-hosts. Maybe not all of them, but some. Oh, my phone's going off. Why stop? All right.
Oh man, goodness! Wow. 591 episodes. Still forgetting to silence phones.
Yep, it's a thing that they tell me every time I see a movie. You'd think I'd have it in my head now, but no, sir, I didn't. Anyway, we're glad to be here. Patrick would normally be here, but he was supposed to be flying to not Sweden. Where was I? Japan. Right. Thank you. The Isle of Japan, the Empire of Japan. And on his way to the airport, things were getting a little hairy with the whole Japan freaking out about coronavirus, and they were doing all kinds of things like shutting down schools and quarantining certain areas and all this sort of stuff. And he got to the thing, and about an hour before his flight, made, I think, the right decision to maybe not go there with a little baby. Not because the baby might catch it or they might catch it, but because it's going to be hassle like he's never had. So he made the right choice, but he's not here is my point. He's not on the show today. So yet again, the coronavirus being a pain in our butts, but he'll be back soon, probably next week is my thinking. And we wish him well.
Stay safe out there, everybody. I hope no one listening to this show is having to deal with the coronavirus.
Yeah. And actually it's I don't know what Blizzard's stance is, because usually they also send people to GDC, which is right around the corner. But GDC is losing everybody.
Dude, it's affecting the gaming industry and esports in a really big way.
Yeah. It turns out video games have a lot of travel, a lot of cons, a lot of esports. It's hard to avoid.
Yeah. They just announced that IEM Katowice is not going to have a live audience for its competitions, and they were expecting tens of thousands of spectators.
Oh my gosh. See, that's nuts.
And then it's going to be a big empty hall. And that's happening right now for ASL, which is like the precursor to GSL for StarCraft. Mm-hmm. They're in the GSL studios. They didn't even bother putting chairs up because they're not allowed to let spectators in.
Wow.
It's just the casters, an empty room, and the players.
That's crazy.
It is really weird looking.
And they'll all wear their things too, right? Their masks and stuff. I've seen a lot of that in these competitions. A lot of people wearing respirators.
Yeah, I don't blame them. Being safe. Saw a lot of it while I was traveling last week. So
yeah, play safe, everybody. Do what you got to do. But I feel a little bad for the Game Developers Conference. It's literally the Game Developers Conference. It's a huge deal every year, and these are the names that have pulled out: Microsoft, Sony, Nintendo, Unreal, and Epic. That's a big one because developers are all about that engine. Unity, another giant one. Then now news outlets are announcing they're not going to cover it, so we don't have Polygon there. We don't have other major games news services going to the thing. At this point, I wonder if it's just going to straight up get canceled. And if so, part of me is slightly glad because my daughter's supposed to go for the university where she works. They have a big esports program, and they're going up there for something, I don't know what, running a booth or something. And I'd rather her not be caught in that mess. But at the same time, that's a gargantuan show that you can't just shut it down and expect it not to just be really super financially painful. It's bad. So anyway, I feel bad about all this stuff. It sucks.
Yeah, it's rough for sure. So anyways, hope everyone out there is staying safe, staying healthy.
Yeah, and get it all cleared up and fixed by the end of March, everybody. We're supposed to have a Vegas meetup for TMS, and I would like to go without any other additional stuff. That'd be
But
great.
there's other health risks in Vegas besides just the coronavirus.
That's what Brian always tells me. He's like, there's a lot worse things you can get while you're there. And he's right.
A GDC cancellation list sounds like E3, but people are not going to that for a completely different reason.
For a totally different reason. Well, let's go to the news for a really good reason. All right, so a little classic news. There's not a lot happening over there in terms of news. There's still quite a bit of I'm seeing little pieces of consternation floating around the internet, and I know that's maybe an understatement because there's always consternation about everything going on the internet, but still some frustration with the way Classic is working out for some fans of Classic. The good news is, just from an information standpoint, this month's, or I guess early next month's bonus show will be an interview with a Classic player and podcaster. We're going to do a one-on-one where he goes deep and hard. Sorry, let's rephrase that. He goes hard. Nope, let's say he goes deep. There you go. Deep's okay, right? We don't have to get too euphemistic about deep.
You are like Boyle on Brooklyn Nine-Nine. You possess the same gift.
Anyway, we're gonna go really detailed in a conversation about.
Can you announce the guest? Who is it?
Yes, I'm looking up his name right now because I'm dumb.
You've been like teasing it forever. I don't know who it is.
I know, it's lame that I've forgotten it. Here it is. Gamer Checks. Go search for him. I don't know what the name of his show is. Oh, here it is. Avid WoW player. Here it is. He's got a podcast called Stay Classic, a Warcraft podcast. And we've been putting this off forever. We're going to finally make it happen and do a one-on-one about all of this stuff. So he's cool, got a lot to say. I want to hear from somebody who's really deep in it, and he's one of those. So we're going to do that, and that's coming up soon. However, some people in China got some good news, I guess, because the WoW token is coming to WoW Classic in China. I don't know if it ever makes its way here, but here's the quote. Dear friends, the Goblins of the Hot Sands group will bring you a good deal, and the World of Warcraft time badge is coming to World of Warcraft Classic Nostalgia. As you can tell, this is translated. It says you can buy World of Warcraft time badges at the auction house to redeem 30 days of game time, or sell World of Warcraft time badges in exchange for game gold. Hey, do you want to call them time badges from now on? Because I kind of do. That's better than WoW token, isn't it? Time badge. Do you like that, Garrett?
I prefer WoW token. But yeah, whatever.
I don't know. I kind of like the term time badge for some reason. I don't know why I like that, but anyway, they're bringing that aspect of modern WoW to Classic in China, and it did get me to thinking if other regions would maybe eventually get that. Would you? I mean, I wouldn't say that anybody on the show is super purist about anything to do with Classic, but would it bother you, or do you feel it would taint the Classic nature of the game to bring in this method of paying for your time? And
I do see myself as not the biggest purist in the world, and also I tend to try to look through things and what I see is like a realist point of view, and it's like we've done is brought back Chinese gold farming by not offering the WoW token, so you can still cheat the system through CD methods right now if you want to get gold without actually working for it. Mm-hmm. So to me, I say, why not? But like, I can understand the desire to not want the token. And also, I think there's a solid argument that getting whispers constantly from Chinese gold farmers is actually a much more realistic representation of the WoW Classic experience. And that's a joke, but also real as hell.
It's also super true. Yeah, I agree with you. It's not WoW Classic without being bombarded by spam from gold farmers. Yeah. Those are the good old days, remember? Mm-hmm. Anyway, this thing goes a little deeper into how it works to inform those players, but basically, they're gonna do it. So whether they bring it here or not, I don't know. Also, market conditions in China have always been different for World of Warcraft. They don't always, or if memory serves, there are different ways you can play the game, and one of them is like a traditional free to play way of playing the game, not just the 20 levels for free thing that we do here. They have lots of differences in the way that they handle stuff over there. And if I have it in my head right, maybe it wasn't WoW, it was another game, but there's some game here that over there, everything in the game is purchasable with real money. It may not be Warcraft, though. I'm not sure what I'm thinking of, but there's some game popular game that over here we just play and maybe we get cosmetics for. But over there, if you want the blade of eternity knife or weapon that's in the game, you don't have to go grind it. You don't have to earn it. You don't have to let it drop. You can just go buy the damn thing. And that's true of a lot of games over there. So I guess what I'm saying is I'm not surprised that they would fiddle with this in Classic in a market that's already used to fiddling with that stuff. And I don't think they have exactly the same purist attitude we have in the West about World of Warcraft Classic. So I think it'll be fine. But whether we get it or not, I don't know.
I haven't seen an official statement from Blizzard, so if there's one, I apologize. But I have to imagine that this is also partially a reaction to the market. If we're seeing gold sales over here, I'm sure it is rampant in China.
Oh yeah, it must be out of control. Like I can only assume, and you're right. I haven't seen any kind of official statements either, but yeah, it must be a thing. I mean, Classic did quite literally bring back gold farming, which is hilarious because they worked so hard to get rid of it in so many different ways. The WoW token being maybe chief among them, but you bring back Classic, you bring back some of its old problems, and here we are. Anyway, more details on that over at wowchina.com is where I found it. And you can learn all about what's going on in China. All right, there's not a lot else happening in the World of Warcraft. I hate to say it. It's just not. It's just sort of, we're here, we got the...
Well, Alpha for Shadowlands is starting to peek its head out. That's
true. There's some people... there's some data mining going on. A lot of it I haven't looked at because I don't want to be spoiled on much. But there's also... We're into the... Now everyone has opted into beta and waiting for possible news that they would be invited to play. As far as I know, nobody's doing that yet outside of Blizzard. So no news on that front. And the game, as currently constituted, is just sort of trucking along, doing it what it does, and it's fine. It's all good, you guys. It's all good. I'm making alts. I can't believe that's what I'm doing, but that's what I'm doing. You did it, Gary. It's your freaking fault. You got me to do it.
There you go. Enjoy. I started raiding, and I'm having a lot of fun.
Yeah, how's that going? You're still in it to win it. It's
good. It's good. The Hearthstone Summit last week kind of threw a big monkey wrench into my attendance, but been tanking again, which I just love dearly. Forgot how much I like doing that. And since I missed last week because of my travels, I freaking even went in and tanked the third wing in LFR this week. And that was interesting.
How quick did you get in? Because tanks get in super fast.
Like within minutes. But then I went to go try to do Wing 2, and it was like a 40-minute wait.
Whoa, really? As a tank?
Yeah, I think people have already moved. There's so many. It's really easy to get gear that's better than LFR, I feel.
Yeah.
There's a lot of ways to just get gear that's as good or better without having to deal with everyone yelling at you in LFR. So I guess I can kind of understand that. It seemed a little weird, though, that Nyalotha Wing 2 still has that long of a wait for a tank too. I mean, I was tank killing.
Yeah,
so
that's super surprising to me. Maybe people are just tearing through it to see it and then moving on because there's other better gear to get in other ways or something.
Yeah, but Wing 3 was literally a minute and boop, in there I go.
That's great.
Yeah,
no, that's good.
And I definitely replaced a tank that was kicked.
Demon Hunter still? Is that your
No, I switched to my paladin. When you were talking about kind of your alcoholism, it spread to me right when 8.3 dropped.
Yeah.
I went and leveled up my Blood Elf paladin, which was my old main. That's what I killed Arthas on back in the Lich King days. And I was just like, oh crap, I really missed playing paladin.
Yeah, and paladins are paladins for life, whether they know it or not. They eventually, even if they give it up for a while, they come back. They always come back.
Yeah. And then I pre-ordered Shadowlands, and I had a boost just sitting there. And our buddy Shieldwald over on the Starting Zone podcast was like, "Hey man, come raid with us." And I'm like, "Oh, I really want to play a paladin, so I guess I'm just gonna boost an Alliance paladin instead of moving my Horde paladin over."
Yeah.
So now I'm playing an Alliance paladin and hanging out with the Starting Zone dudes.
Any gnomes on the team?
Of course, it's the Alliance. Some mecha gnomes even.
That's unfortunate.
The Mechanomes looks great.
Look, man. I'm just saying you can have a good experience, but you can't expect everything to be perfect. So it's fine. It's fine.
I think you would find yourself pleasantly surprised if you rolled a Mechanome.
The Mechanomes are, of the two gnome choices, I'd go Mechanome for sure. If I was picking one of those.
I don't know. I have a feeling that if you rolled one, there's going to be an episode in the future at some point where Scott Johnson's going to show up on the show and go, "So I did a thing."
I did a bad thing, like that song always says. Yeah, whatever. I give crap to gnomes for 15 years now, but it's mostly for shits and giggles. But also, I think those mechagnomes are pretty cool. I'll admit, I will cave to that notion that they're pretty cool. I don't think regular gnomes are cool though. You're never going to pull that from you'll pull that notion from my dead corpse because they're just not cool. Are they playable? Yes. Are they for people who aren't me? Absolutely. Are they cool? Hell no. They're not cool. They were never cool. Moving on.
Send your emails to scottjohnsonwon'treadthis@gmail.com.
That's perfect. All right, check this out. Little non-WoW related, unfortunately, but this is a big one. And I hope this is the cadence of updates we can expect from the Diablo 4 team, but there was a huge update from the team. It went over everything from UI to stuff like controllers on PCs, the difference between the two. They even went to sort of the painstaking description of why on console your UI elements like how much mana you've got, how much health you've got, your ability bars and all that stuff, why that stuff is shuffled down to a corner of the screen versus in the center of the lower part of the screen like you would see in a PC, and why they're letting PC players have the choice of where to put it, because when you're playing, your eye reaction to see resources and to see what buttons are on cooldown, that sort of thing, are different if you're sitting on a couch playing on a TV versus sitting in front of a monitor that's like this far from you. Like kind of fascinating stuff I never really think about in UI design, and they go kind of deep on that stuff, which is pretty cool. They talk about the PC and console versions being simultaneously produced, which you've never done before, and how they want PC players to be able to use controllers if they want, and their thinking in that process has been pretty fascinating. They also take a look at the cannibal family and how creature groups work in general. They're calling them families, basically, and every family has a whole bunch of variants and variations. This particular one looks like a bunch of crazy, nearly undead cannibal types. Look like reavers or something from Serenity.
They've got a barbarian look to them. They're just covered in blood and bones.
Yeah, they're super into like just kill you and eat you. That's their whole vibe, and it looks great. Like everything they're showing here is great. They show animations. They show a couple of mobs sort of doing their, jump and slam kind of animation, that sort of thing. They get into changes they're making in the UI for inventory. They originally were going, I thought this was fascinating just from an artist perspective. They were originally going for like a painterly look to all of the gear. Difficult to say exactly what that means. I can go back and look at stuff from BlizzCon probably and compare, but they've pulled back from that because they want the gear to pop a little more and be a little more, not true 3D, not like just putting the 3D models up there, but have it look a little more like what it would look like on your character rather than a more stylized look. And they're pretty happy with that, but they're trying to also maintain the sort of gritty, dark thing they're aiming for here. It's cool. I hope they do these updates all the time, and not just for games like this. Like, do it for all your games. Give us more content that's this in depth. Because I had a great time reading it. I mean, obviously, I'm excited about the game.
Yeah, it's fascinating. It also this feels kind of old school to me. Like I remember reading stuff like this about like StarCraft 2 years before it released, and so it simultaneously is interesting to read and makes me think we really are not getting this game anytime soon.
Yeah,
it just reminds me of these older Blizzard games and the stuff they would put out about them years before their launch.
Yeah, I think you're right, but also there's a lot. Like it's a lot of detail. I don't know, just more than I expected. They have 3 different people. They have the game director Luis Bargia. I forget how to say his last name. He does a big introduction and talks about the quarterly update. So this is one of those. They're going to do them quarterly. Then they let Angela De Piori, who is the lead UI designer, she goes deep into controller support, co-op, UI design, split screen co-op, how that's going to work for consoles. It sounds like maybe even PCs will have split screen co-op. But anyway, since they're doing them sort of simultaneously and they're such a common code base, my guess is these are going to be very similar versions, what you'd get on a console versus what you get on the PC. But then there's a whole bunch in there for people who may hear that and go, ugh, don't give me so much console focus. I'm a PC guy, master race. Let's go. They go pretty deep onto the things they are trying to do to maintain the kind of Diablo PC experience you expect. So that was pretty cool. And they also have the senior encounter designer talk about the monster families and design highlights, and they talk about the cannibal tribe. So worth looking at. It's up on the Diablo 4 blog. And I love this stuff, man. I love when they go deep with this stuff. And they even have this weird, let's see if can I pull this out? Yeah, I can. I'm going to put this up on screen. So they have this graphic, chat. And if you're home listening to the show, you're not going to see this. I apologize. But basically it's showing the down in the corner version of the UI. And it's a GIF. And it shows like, okay, the barbarian or whatever. I don't know if this is the barbarian. I think it is. Makes a move. Shows where your eyes jump to and how fast they jump to these elements. So it jumps down to the 3 key to see that it activated. And also your eye jumps over to the health globe to see that you've lost some health because you're getting bombarded by monsters. And then your eyes are back to the character. And this is the weird bit. If you go and look at this and follow it with your own eyes, you can kind of see what they're talking about. Like this, it's hard to explain, but you just get this feeling of
it's eye tracking.
Yeah, it is
kind of like, when you play. Well, this is maybe a bad example, but like I think of like Heroes of the Storm or StarCraft, where we're all tip you're constantly told is keep looking at your mini map, and it's this like rhythm of your eye movement to keep track of all the different things that you're trying to monitor.
Yeah, this stuff I don't think about ever. Like no one thinks of this stuff. So the fact I love this insight. It's great.
This particular blog like gets super granular and nerdy about like the difference between the distance from your monitor and how much your eyes have to move to look at different things versus the distance from your TV, because you're so much further away. Your eyes don't have to move as much.
Right.
And it's just like, God, I think it's cool. It's the kind of thing that I'm sure would bore some people, but I like this kind of like really nitty gritty granular stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Because I just find it fascinating because it's things you always don't think about, and I think it's really easy to forget about in game design.
Yeah, I totally agree. And there's a video where they go fairly deep into the monster family in a little more detail, and they put that up on YouTube. So lots of concept art. I mean, it's just cool. I want more of this. So I hope this is just the start of, these quarterly updates are all like this. That's very exciting. Because this is a huge chunk of information. Like, what's the next one going to be? Is it going to be lighter than this? Are they going to just sort of say, hey, not a lot has changed? Or are we going to get this quantity of content? To me, this is exactly the kind of voice they need happening behind a game that has this much anticipation, this much history, and this much controversy. You've got this game that needs to make right in the light of things like Immortal being a big mess in terms of PR, in light of Diablo 3's lifespan being cut short by management before it was even had a chance to have its first expansion out, and canceling expansions, that sort of thing. Like all of that history, all of that stuff, this is the right voice to put in front of it. I think it's genuine. These guys seem super stoked. The interesting thing here is this doesn't tell us anything about this, obviously, but this is now under the overall franchise leadership of Rod Ferguson, the big Gears of War guy that went over there. I forgot his last name. Is it Ferguson? Shit.
I forget off the top
whatever
of my head.
It is, but he's now there. I hope that this is a taste of like kind of his leadership. It's clear that
Rod Ferguson, you are correct.
Ferguson,
Sorry.
Okay. I always get confused. Because I'm thinking, am I thinking of Kyle and just not?
Yeah, it's same.
Because I know 3 Fergusons my entire life, and 2 of them are Kyle and Kristen, and technically she still uses her last name, so it's a rare name. Oh, and Turd Ferguson from SNL. I remember that.
Yeah, as long as it's not Turd Ferguson, then we're good.
I love Turd Ferguson. It's a great name. But anyway, what was my point with that? Oh, I like this. This is a good rollout of information, and I want more of this. It gives me a lot of confidence in the game moving forward. And I think Blizzard knows that a huge part of Blizzard goodwill, much of which has been chipped away in recent years, rides on this going off this way. So good job, I guess, to those guys. And I hope it just continues because it's rad. Anyway, go read it. It's over there at the blog. You can find it at the blizzard.com site. They have it in their main blog there. Worth looking at. Okay. Also, YouTuber. His name is Pivotal. That's a cool name. Never heard of him before. I don't know why, because apparently he's very popular and I'd never seen a video before. Or maybe I had and didn't know it was him. But he made a remake of the Fall of the Lich King in-game cinematic. And it is rad. partially because that cinematic does not hold up very well. If you've seen it lately, it's very early in the sort of, hey, Blizzard's going to do more with in-game cinematics, and if they did it today, it would be a completely different animal. But this is a 100%, sort of fan-made thing that looks really good and captures the spirit of that moment when the Lich King is taken down, and Bolvar has to take up the crown, and Ghost Dad shows up, and all that stuff. You guys know the one. That's what this is, and it seems super cool, or it is very cool. So go watch it and let us know what you think. Here, I'll play some audio from it.
Yeah, it's well done.
Yeah. Is there audio? There is.
There's definitely audio.
At long last. No king rules forever, my son.
I see.
So it's like, it's the same dialogue. It's all that stuff, but
yeah, the audio is like identical. And I don't think they use any different camera angles, but the whole thing is just much crisper.
Yeah, it's very good. Lots of cool effects too. There's the scene where Tyrion goes up to the throne where Bolvar's sitting on his ass, and there's like
opposed to, I don't know, his knees. He's a knee sitter. Bolvar, known to be a very big fan of knee sitting, but this time he is indeed sitting on his ass.
He is sitting on his ass. Normally,
yeah. Some of the effects are like almost, I would argue, too good. Like there's a smoke effect when Bolvar freezes after he puts on the helm, and it's like the smoke is like too good for everything else around it. I'm like, the smoke looks incredible. It's kind of like almost too good.
It's a really good point. Like it's so good that it looks like it's from a different thing, or it's, I don't know, it's a little just too highfalutin. Here, Chad, I'll show you that one right there. Yeah, it's cool, don't get me wrong, but everybody else in this scene is so kind of cartoony and wowish.
Yeah, I think the thing that impresses me the most is like the retexturing of the faces, because there's just so much more high fidelity.
Yeah.
There's like weird little, like, just the way everything kind of, like, there's a cohesion thing that kind of takes me out of it every now and then. But like overall, like looking at the close-ups on the faces, it's just like, damn, you did a really good job.
Yeah, it's really good. Chat room asked if this is the
same. This is not the same guy that did Wrathgate.
That's what I was going to ask, if this is the same dude. It's a similar, quality or whatever, but.
Yeah, I mean, same basic idea. If you go to Pivotal's channel, there's all kinds of like fan trailers for WoW and whatnot. I think this is Pivotal's first redo of an existing.
Yeah, the rest of these are all originals, right? Original shorts and stuff.
Yeah, a lot of original shorts on Pivotal's channel.
There's one 130,000 views for something called Warbound, a World of Warcraft 3D animated short, and this looks like it's all original. I think this was
in the talent show one year.
Oh, all right.
BlizzCon, if I recall. But, Fall of the Lich King, this went up 3 days ago. Already Pivotal's most popular video with over 300,000 views. So congrats. That kicks ass.
Guess what, Garrett? Turns out the Lich King story is still popular. People like it. People like it, and maybe it'll be cool to return to Bolvar and continue that tale somehow.
Well, it better be, because you're going to see a lot of them in the new expansion. I hope you like Bolvar, because you're about to get more Bolvar than you might be able to stomach.
You'll get bowled over by Bolvar.
Whatever. I'm done with Magni. I'm ready for a moody emo guide through my expansion.
Fair enough. Anyway, go check it out. Champion. Don't get me in the mood. You're getting me in the mood here.
Champion.
Oh, did it again.
I see you rolled another ult.
Yeah, there it is.
Walk your ass out to the same distance and take 15 minutes to find me after I teleported.
It's actually kind of dipping into my Reinhardt impression, but whatever.
Look, they're all interchangeable. It's not a problem. You're keeping it all in the Blizzard house.
I don't do a very good Scottish accent.
Good job. All right, we're going to dive directly into what else is going on around Blizzard. In particular, honestly, there's not a lot going on in general. We've talked about everything that's going on kind of already.
Excuse me, Scott. Excuse me.
Oh, what have I forgotten?
Excuse me. If there's literally the biggest update to Battlegrounds since Battlegrounds was added to Hearthstone.
Oh, I see. You're saying Hearthstone has a giant update. Weird. Okay, actually, I knew this.
I'm sorry. If you're out there, if you're bored with your Overwatch not getting enough updates, or maybe 8.3 isn't scratching your itch, can I tell you about our Lord and Savior Hearthstone, where things just don't stop?
It's popping off, baby. All right, so what did they
keeps coming.
What did they add to this game called Battlegrounds that also has Hearthstone in it? What did they add to that?
Dragons. A dragon tribe because so Battlegrounds has minion types. You've got the Murloc tribe, you've got the Mech tribe, you've got the Beast tribe. These, when you first got in, if you knew very little about it, you knew, I probably want to draft Murlocs. If I'm drafting one Murloc, I probably want to get more and get a synergy going. Same went for Beast, same went for Mechs, right?
Right.
Pretty basic strategies trying to get tribe synergy.
Okay.
And if you noticed, there were minions that buffed what we called menagerie compositions, which there were minions that buffed Murloc, demons, and dragons.
Right.
And we were looking at it there aren't any dragons. We used to have the amalgam, which was all minion types, and that would get a dragon buff from those types of cards, but that was it. And then they took amalgam out, and then there was no way to get that extra buff of these cards that just threw in dragons. It seemed like willy-nilly. These cards came from Constructed. That's why they had that on there in the first place.
Sure.
But they just added dragons. They added 18 new minions.
Oh, geez.
To Battlegrounds, and they added 7 new heroes.
Wait, are all these minions, just for clarification, these minions are in the game otherwise, right?
No. Actually, all but 2 of the minions that they added are unique to Battlegrounds.
Oh, wow. That's a big deal.
Only Unstable Ghoul and Cobalt Scalebane are actual cards that you can find in Constructed Hearthstone. Everything else is a bespoke minion made for Battlegrounds.
That's surprising to me. Well, that's not surprising to me. What it tells me is that Battlegrounds is getting maybe you can speak to this because you've talked to some of those guys at the summit and everything. But it seems to me like they're going, "Ooh, wow, we got a huge hit on our hands with this little mode. It better get a bunch of help on its own."
I've heard nothing in an official capacity, but just in casual conversation, the vibe I'm getting is yes, Battlegrounds is above and beyond what they expected in the sense of success. I think it is way more successful than they hoped.
That's awesome.
As to why we got so many bespoke minions built, we talked a lot about this on the Angry Chicken. I think it's because dragons in Constructed Hearthstone, a lot of them have battle cry effects, and it's do something if you have another dragon in your hand, and that just wouldn't work for Battlegrounds unless it's a buff, because a lot of the dragons do damage to your opponent's board when you play them from your hand. That wouldn't work for Battlegrounds because you can't play things from your hand during combat.
Interesting.
So I think that probably played more of a factor than anything else we want to add dragons. Well, we're just going to have to make a bunch of the custom dragons for this mode because the way that they function in Constructed Hearthstone really doesn't lend itself to the mode.
Wow. So tell me more about the not the minions, the other ones. What are they called?
The heroes?
The heroes. Tell me more.
Yeah.
The heroes. Yes, that's a hard one to remember. They added
all of the... actually, I believe when Battlegrounds first hit, they called them bosses, and nobody in the community used that term. They just called them heroes. And now in this one, in the actual official patch notes, it says new Battlegrounds heroes. So we won. We got them, y'all.
Well done, everybody. Sometimes the crowd is smart or something.
Yeah, they added all of the aspects, all the dragon aspects that weren't already in the game. And then they also added a few extras. So Galakron, who's the proto of all dragons, who was the center of the most recent Hearthstone expansion, is a playable hero now. They added Deathwing, Ysera, Nosdormu, Malagos, Alexstrasza, and also Reno Jackson, who, spoiler alert, was just revealed to be a dragon in the most recent expansion.
That's right. That was big news at the time-ish.
Very
cool. What about what's his name? Sexy Son, Deathwing, Sexy
Caligos?
Boy. The other one. Who am I thinking?
Deathwing Son. Oh, Rathian.
Rathian, is he in there? Was he already in there?
Rathian is not in Battlegrounds yet. No.
Okay, all right. Too sexy for that.
Is Rathian? I don't think Rathian is in Hearthstone. Period.
Oh, really?
I don't think there's a Rathian card.
Too sexy for Hearthstone then.
I guess so.
He'll be back.
I freaking guess so. Oh no, Rathian was a card. This was way back in Mean Streets of Gadget Zan.
Oh, so he's a retired dude. I mean,
a wild only card.
Only, yeah. Okay.
Wild only. But this is just nuts, man. The dragon tribe is really powerful. There's a tier 1 dragon that is really making waves in Battlegrounds right now. It's called Red Whelp.
I got to get in there today.
Yeah.
You got me all excited.
It's going to blow your mind. Also, hey, Scott, I know you like to win.
I do. I like
You want to
to
win? You want a tip?
I would like a tip. Give me a win
Draft
tip.
anything but dragons because everyone else is drafting dragons.
So if you do that, but wait, won't that mean I'll lose because everyone wants dragons? What's a good counter to dragons? What do I want?
At the moment, just getting a consistent draft because it is a shared pool.
Right.
So if everyone else is going for dragons, unless one of them gets really lucky, there's a good chance all of the dragon players will kind of have like mediocre boards because they're all fighting each other for a draft.
I see.
Now they can catch a windfall and you can get totally stomped, but like a lot of my games this week have had 5 of the 8 players drafting dragons, and typically like only one of them actually got a powerful board out of it.
Wow. All right, so let that little gold rush work in my favor and just not be a dragon guy. Okay.
Yeah, if you just want to be a jerk. So like demons still work. They're not as good as they were. They did get nerfed, but you can still get a decent demon run going, especially if you do a juggler comp, if you get the soul juggler.
Yeah.
They also removed a bunch of minions from the draft, so the draft isn't horribly inconsistent by just diluting it with even more minions.
Nice.
But they didn't remove at tier 3, there's a mech called Cobalt Guardian. And that card has been really good since the very beginning, and it's still in the game. And I think now is arguably one of the strongest, building blocks for a strong composition if you're not going dragons.
Sure, that's awesome. All right, you got me excited about it. Then I've been losing a lot, so I haven't been that excited because I just kind of suck. But I've been playing. Here's a little experiment I did over the last couple of weeks. I played some other auto battlers, some new ones, some old ones. Finally came out of. Not early access, but basically launched season 1 of Underworld, or Underlords, rather, Valve's thing. Playing all those, just kind of poking my head around. Every time I play one of those, I go, yeah, this is all right, but I think I like Battlegrounds the most. Now, I lose a lot in Battlegrounds, which is a real bummer because I just think I'm bad at late game. But man, I'm having more fun. Like, actual more fun is happening. I
would love to spectate a game of yours and kind of see how you go. And
I'd be so embarrassed. I'd have to just really suck it up and let you just see all there is to survey because I'm just bad.
I promise I won't give you too much shit.
I mean, it turns out, here's the funny thing. It turns out, I don't want to shock anybody, but if you were already good at Hearthstone, you probably have a good chance of being okay to good in Battlegrounds.
I don't think that's all that accurate.
You don't think so? You think?
I think it got a lot less accurate now that we've got like 16 cards that don't exist in any other mode added.
Yeah, I guess that's true.
It's such a different game type. Like I played it almost exclusively for like the last month and a half. Like I barely dipped my toe into Constructed. I got back into Constructed really hard last week.
Yeah.
But when I went back to Constructed from Battlegrounds, I was like, oh, blah, 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 my brain. Mm-hmm. Like it's such a different mindset of how you play those two modes.
Yeah.
They're completely different in my mind. So yeah, I think if you played other auto battlers and you came into Battlegrounds, you definitely had a leg up. But I don't think you had as big of a leg up if you were already playing Hearthstone.
Yeah. There's one that I win a lot. It's called it's the Might and Magic one that Ubisoft made. It's weird.
I didn't realize Ubisoft made an auto battler.
They did. It's new. Kind of brand new, PC and phones, and I'm trying to remember if it's on. And maybe it's not. Maybe it's just Max. It's not on. But anyway, it's set in the Might and Magic universe, which I don't know if anyone gives a shit about in terms of like character types or any of it. Well, Might and like Heroes of Might and Magic. It's in like an old PC series of like turn-based strategy games. They were awesome in their day. They were like very cool, but there's nothing about them where you go. Like Blizzard stuff's like, I know Thrall. Thrall's cool, But in Might and Magic, you're like, there's a sword guy, and that lady over there has magic. Okay, let's go. Like it's that sort of thing. But it's 100 people, and the matches only last about 15 minutes. It's just a kind of a different approach on the whole concept, but very similar in terms of actual gameplay. It does a life system, so you have three lives. It's like a old arcade game kind of, and if you lose a match, you get lose a life. You lose another match, you lose 2, you lose your third one, you're out. You're done. And that's how they keep the games fast. So it's not just about total hit point power. It's 3 lives and you're dead. But I get in the final, 3 or 4% every time I play that thing. And it's very fun. It's good. But I have more fun in Battlegrounds, but I lose more than any of these other games. 100%.
Next time we get free time, man, I'll happy to give you some pointers.
Okay. We'll see what we can do about that. All right. Well, that's it, really. Nothing going on in like Overwatch. It's just nothing. I mean, there's Overwatch League. Yeah, that's happening. Like, there's the stuff you expect from Overwatch, like this, what's the word? The status quo. That's all happening, but nothing new. We just want 2, so hurry up with 2 is all I'm saying there. And everything else, your StarCrafts, your Warcraft 3. I haven't heard anybody talk about Reforged in the last 2 weeks. Just been dead.
It's because you either have moved on because the outrage well has dried up, or you're just playing the game and enjoying it.
Probably that. Like Bo Schwartz had never played 3 back in the day and always meant to and then just never did. He played Reforged and he loved it, and he played for days on end, played all the campaign stuff, and just absolutely adored every second of it. There are definitely players like that who just aren't being vocal about it, right? Just enjoy the game, play it. There's others who are still unhappy with it. Blizzard seems to just be working away on whatever promises they made about tweaking it. But all of that freak out seems to be over for the most part.
All about the tweaking promises.
Yep. All about tweaking them promises, son. All right, now this.
Hear ye, hear ye.
Why, it's the town crier.
All right, it's time for the Town Crier, where we do stuff for you. No, we read emails. We read your emails. This is an email sent to us at theinstance@gmail.com. This one is from a Resto Druid, is how it's signed, and he says this: Hey, Scott, Florida Man, and Frenchie. How do you like that? You like the Florida Man moniker? Are you okay with that?
I'm totally fine. I'm proud of my Florida upbringing.
Yeah, you're a proud Floridian, as they say. I have played seriously, or I haven't played seriously since Pandaland, and I'm wondering what the world is like for a solo player now. I've been considering resubbing for a while, but every time I get close to pressing the button, I think all the time I would have to spend leveling up and gearing up, etc., etc. I'd really only have 10 or 20 hours per week to commit to the game. That's actually a lot.
I'm about to say that's great. I don't know what the.
I think he maybe was so hardcore in Pandaland that he thinks that 40 to 80 is minimum. It's not well, certainly not anymore. Maybe even then it wasn't.
I don't think it was in Pandaria either. But anyway.
No. Anyway, it says, do you think there's room for a true solo player at endgame? It feels like, from what I've heard, that you really need a team to do anything meaningful at the top. Thanks, and keep up the good work, Arresto Druid. I think you've got both the time and the and everything to do what you want to do, and I think you can still have tons of fun as a solo player, which I am most of the time. I'm mostly a solo player in all MMOs. WoW is no different. I've done plenty of group content, lots of raiding back in the day. Like, that stuff's all there. And yes, there's fun to be had, but it's not like you can't enjoy this game top to bottom in a mostly solo capacity.
Yeah, I truly believe that WoW has just been getting a better as a solo experience since the very beginning. I think the hardest it's been to be a solo player was vanilla.
Yeah, I agree. And but even then, compared to all the competition at the time, whether it was EverQuest or Dark Age of Camelot or whatever the competing games were, it was revolutionary and groundbreaking in terms of letting you be a more solo player. Like, there was no, we'll just use Dark Age as an example. I played that game. If you were a caster of any sort in that game, you don't solo in that game, ever. Everything kills you. You die all the time. If you're not running with a group, you're screwed. Also, they didn't have questing. They didn't have the kind of stuff. WoW came in and said, hey, what if when you start out, you could play this entire game by yourself? Well, it's totally true. You could. It wasn't as easy as it is today, but by that day's standards, WoW was already revolutionary in that regard. So they've just gotten more and more so that way. And
I really think to listener aptly named a Resto Druid, it really comes down to what you're trying to accomplish. Because
right.
If you want to push your mythic keys or have a progression raid group, okay, you're gonna need a group, but that's kind of always been the case. If you want to do the hardest stuff in the game, it's typically group content, but there's so much that you can do as a solo player. I mean, if you just want to see the raids and the dungeons, I mean, the Raid Finder, Dungeon Finder exists for that reason. Mm-hmm. And so much of the day-to-day around world quests, daily quests, and whatnot, I mean, that's absolutely soloable. It's going to be a little rough when you first ding and your gear sucks, But like 2-3 days later, you're going to be fine. You're going to very quickly catch up on gear, and you're going to have a solid kind of gameplay loop.
Yeah,
so,
and if you're wanting that old challenge, that same sub he's talking about will get him into Classic. So go try that again if you want.
Yeah, and if you're one of the more like niche players too, like into the kind of these like sub interests in World of Warcraft, pet battles, fishing, playing the auction house, any of that kind of stuff, absolutely soloable. So there's a lot of solo fun, I think, to be had in World of Warcraft right now.
Yeah, you could say there's more solo in the game now than Han Solo in the movie Solo. I don't know where I'm going with that.
There's a lot of solo in that movie.
There actually is. There's quite a bit of solo. Yeah.
Unless you want Harrison Ford solo, then you are going to be disappointed.
There's no Harrison Ford solo in that thing.
No, none at all.
Yeah. But they
didn't even do like that cheesy like flash forward at the end of the movie that you probably expected them to do, so they could trot out Harrison Ford again.
I would have been okay with that in that.
I would have been okay
movie.
with it too. Actually, yeah. I love that movie. I think that movie's great.
I think Solo's all right. Where are you on Rogue One? I forget.
Oh, I love Rogue One. Justin Robert Young is a crazy person.
He is crazy. I think it might be my well, hold on. It's my second favorite modern Star Wars thing behind The Mandalorian. Like, that's how much I like it.
It's probably the second most watched for me. I think for me, it's Force Awakens. I've just watched a ton of the new Star Wars stuff just because it's a fun ass movie.
Yeah.
I think Rogue One I probably watched second most because the Star Wars movies I watch the most are the ones I like for spectacle. Like Return of the Jedi is my most watched Star Wars movie. It was my favorite when I was a kid. It's still my favorite to put on now.
Yeah.
But if you want to sit down and have a conversation about who has the best script, it's like, Empire. There's no contest.
Of course.
It wins.
Yeah, of course.
So,
but if you like those Muppets, man, Return of the Jedi's got you covered.
Like Muppets.
Yeah, they got you covered over there, man. You want a bunch of puppets all over the damn place? Return of the Jedi, son. Woo! Get in there.
Hey, man, do you like Star Wars? Yeah. Well, do you like Jim Henson's Creature Shop? Yes. Well, we have a movie for you.
Yeah, that's a good time over there. All right, we got another email from Mithrylmus. Lots of Y's in there.
I'm going to put the emphasis on thrill.
Mithrylmus. There you go.
Mithrylmus.
Thank you for doing the show, he says. I started playing WoW in the early BC days around WOD, or Warlords of Draenor. I had to cut my playtime drastically due to marriage and other life demands. Now I have about 2 hours a week to play, and I'm loving Classic. I was overwhelmed in retail by the amount of new things going on, and Classic allows me to enjoy simple life in WoW and continue to make progression. I love leveling, so that helps too. I'm just hoping you guys can talk more about life in Classic in coming episodes. All right, so here's the hang up for Classic. Like right now, Garrett was probably the most hardcore in a Classic of all of us, and right now you're taking a break from it.
And I stopped at level 52 because 8.3 came out, and I started really enjoying it.
Right. So in my case, I played.
First, I went back to get flying.
Right. In my case, I played 3 hours, and I said, "Yeah, I did this for hundreds of hours. I'm good. I don't need to do this again." So we're almost like the worst possible show. And Patrick just never did. He was like, I'm not doing this. Wee poo poo. I'm not getting into it. So we're probably the worst show ever for that sort of stuff. Other than that bonus show I mentioned earlier that we have coming up, we will always try to discuss Classic, as it's relevant on the show when possible. But if you're looking for super in-depth stuff, I wish we were the guys. We're not. That doesn't mean we couldn't figure out a way to insert something into the show, bring somebody in that just does a segment once in a while. Like, there are possibilities around Classic. I would be really curious to know what the retention/growth rate is on Classic right now. I have a feeling, I don't know this from any other insider info or anything else, but I have a feeling things have stalled out a little bit over there, and we've kind of capped it a bit. I could be wrong.
It has to be. I mean, if you're going to play it, you've already gotten in.
Right.
So I don't think that's that's not like a crazy hot take. Like I'm going to drop some bombs on you. Like, I think Classic probably is plateaued and may be on the backslide. Of course it is.
Of course it is. And that's my whole point, because if it was a growth industry, Classic by itself, there would be tons of reasons why we would want to, blow out new content around it.
Cavalier in the chat room brings up a great idea. You should just re-air original instance episodes. You should go find ones for each patch, and just start putting them back out in time, like the instance rewind. Just
for fun, right now, I'm going to do something. Hold on here. So we're going to go back to, let's see if I can do it by date. This would be good. So I'm going to go through, this is a podcast show backups. We're going to go back to the instance and go, I don't know, like 5 or something.
How do I go really far back on your website?
That's the problem. Is a lot of that stuff is I'm just looking at files in a backup. All right, you know what? Let's go to instance episode 50. Let's do that. This is January 8th, 2007. Let's see what was going on that day. All right, here we go.
This episode of the instance is brought.
All right, skip
servers. That's
Andrew. You want to touch on this?
Wait.
They just are. It's all.
Okay.
Captain Jibberjigglewaggy or whatever. Stand down and understand. And all this kind of talk. And I'm like totally reacting to it. Good to hear from you, sir. Bring
I had a shitty mic then. I don't like how I sound.
your word hither, so I might ponder on its meaning. And we're doing this whole thing, and I've got all these guys talking to me like that, and it's just awesome. People are sending me like little tributes. I am strong in the healing arts. I cannot wait till we fight along one another. And
I don't know what I'm even talking about there. Let's skip ahead a little bit.
All I'm learning is that you are a really on-brand individual.
Dude, this is the thing that people always ask me. Like, they'll ask Kim, is he like this in private, or is he always just this weird in public? And she's like, no, this is exactly who he is. I don't change, man. I am the same guy. My voice has gotten a little lower, but other than that, whatever idiot you heard back in 2007, you're hearing today. All right? That's just the truth. All right, let's see what this takes
when
us.
he was in his server, he did a /who 70 to see if there was anyone level 70 already, and there was like 16 people on his server already at level 70.
So you're
was
definitely
this?
talking
When
about
did he
Burning
do it?
Crusade.
This was like this last Thursday, so it's
yeah.
like what 2 weeks after launch.
Yeah.
See, and that used to sound like 2 weeks after launch and everybody hitting cap seemed insane because it took you a lot longer to do stuff. Now people do it in a day or two.
Yeah, but we were also comparing 60 to 70 to 1 to 60.
Yeah.
So it was pretty major.
Yeah.
And also I think it was like Blizzard kind of coming to peace with that and realizing that, a lot of WoW was the end game, and so it was probably okay.
Yeah.
It didn't take so long.
That's true.
That's wild.
Do I have episode 1 in here? Hold on. I don't even want to hear it, to be honest with you. Oh my gosh, I do here. Listen.
You're listening to The Instance.
That is a sense memory.
Oh, this is just bad. Back when I used just the WoW theme music. All right.
Hey, everybody, and welcome all to the first podcast of The Instance. This is our very first show.
Don't derp. How derpy is that intro? Good Lord. I hate it. I hate it.
If you think that's bad, you should go listen to the first episode of Starcast because I did it on a Logitech headset.
Oh, Garrett. Oh, man. I don't know if I can. I mean, this is already too hard to even deal with. That's just rough.
It's rough. It is real rough. Oh, man, I don't even have episode 1 in my backups. I have episode 2.
Oh, you do? Wow. Oh, here it is. So that would aired on January 5th, 2006. Let me jump ahead and just see what else we said.
On their home world, maybe the ones if it is the Draenei, the ones you get to play will look more like the original one.
That is so. Oh, it's just so early aughts podcasting.
Oh my
it just
God, Andrew.
I know it's really hard to listen to.
Just feels like college, early college.
Oh,
I was playing on a 56K modem.
wow. When you first heard the shows, that's crazy.
Yeah.
That's crazy, dude. Crazy to me.
Yeah, it was nuts. For whatever episode where you talked about the Gates of AQ Ankh opening, that's the first episode I listened to. I think it was like 14 or something.
One of my favorites ever, though, was this one right here.
At some point, there's a go, no-go moment.
The live Metzen one in 2015 at Nerdtacular. That was a great one.
I don't know. I was there for that.
Yeah, you were there for that. Let's see if I can.
He is the one missing chair today. So
Hold on.
I guess what I'm asking, Randy, we haven't heard from you much. I want to hear what you think about that. It's a real dichotomy from when we were...
Oh my gosh, I hate hearing myself. Anyway, there it is. A look back at the instances of old. Thanks, Mithras Milneris, for bringing that up.
Yeah, that was wild. Yeah, and I don't think Mithril is I don't think they're being aggressive or anything, but, I do find it fascinating. Like there's this from some folks when it comes to like the content they consume and whatnot, there's this feeling like you need to like check certain boxes or cover everything, and at a certain point it's like you just can't.
Mm-hmm.
Like there is a bandwidth issue at a certain point.
Yeah.
And also it's like, there are a lot of people covering Classic right now and doing a really good job of it. So like if we're not hitting all the points that you want, like there is content out there for you.
That being said, I have some thoughts about making 2020 a year for the instance to branch into some interesting new directions. And by that, I don't have any details to give anyone, all right? Or I don't even have details to give to myself, but I have this desire. You know, we're 15 years into this frickin' thing, or however long it's almost been. And, you know, time to look at it in some new ways and some fun new ways and, you know, look at it from a different perspective. Part of why I feel that way is honestly because there's a evolution and shift happening at Blizzard in general, and it's making me think about, you know, what you have to do to evolve around that. And anyway, I don't have, like I said, zip to share, but you know, who knows? This may be the year. Who knows? In a couple of months, we may have the most amazing entire 15-minute segment for Classic every week, and it blows everybody's minds. That could happen. I don't know. Oh, yeah, I do. Apple Biscuit in the chat. Do you remember when the instance was going to have its own iPhone app? Didn't it have one for a while?
It did. I had it. I had it on my 3GS.
Oh, my gosh, dude. I forgot about that. That's back when everybody was...
Didn't Nicole make that for you?
Yeah, I think Nicole was doing app development for that, I think.
I love the idea of Nicole even having the time to mess with that. Like I look at her as like this like media mogul.
Yeah.
Idea of her like at this point being like, I think I'll try my hand at an instance app. Like it seems like such a waste of her potential.
I know, it's such an odd thing. What a weird, it was a weird time. There's all sorts of stuff I forgot.
I really look up to her a lot because she just seems to like get stuff done at a rate that I just do not understand, and it just seems hilarious to me.
Yeah, it's a big deal. Oh, this just in. Looks like CCP just canceled the Fan Fest this year. That's their huge EVE Online event they do.
Oh, wow.
Also because of concerns over Corona. Man, I don't like all this stuff.
It's scary, man. I
don't like it. I mean, it's some people are like, they're overreacting, but I'm like, no, I think they're just reacting. I think everyone's reacting, and they're, you know, we have enough data. We know enough to know that, if this thing starts spreading like the flu spreads, we're going to see a higher problem. So anyway, we still don't have an announcement from BlizzCon, so we don't know if that would have any effect on something like that. But I have a few things coming up in the next few months that I will be traveling for that I would really like those not to be affected. So
yes, yeah, I don't tend to get worried about this kind of stuff, and I was definitely worried traveling out for the summit last week.
Yeah, I don't worry about this stuff. Normally, in fact, like right now, I'm like super not worried unless someone I know or care about gets on a plane and goes somewhere far. Like I've got a daughter or a niece that's supposed to be going to South Korea for a couple of years for a school thing, and they're now talking about they don't know if she's going to be able to go. Like they straight out South Korea may not allow them in. Because they don't want to, increase the likelihood that someone else is going to catch it or whatever. So I don't know. And 4,000 points on the stock market since the thing started, like it's just kind of gnarly. So anyway, be safe out there. Don't touch your face. Wash your hands. All that normal stuff. Still really good ideas, by the way. So just do all those good things you're told every year about the flu, and keep yourselves safe and don't make out with. I just touched my face as I'm talking. See, look at that. That's great.
Well, you're in your own home. So
That's true. Whatever diseases are here are staying with me. But just be careful out there.
You just caught a case of the cream corn can. That's what you just caught.
No kidding. I know this affects everything, like world. What's that phone conference? World something conference. Whatever it is. That got canceled, which is a huge deal.
World something conference?
Oh, it's Mobile World Conference? Whatever it is. Tom would know the name of this. But a big, giant, like international phone conference got canceled. Oh, there it is. Mobile World Congress. That's it. That got canceled. You just forget just how much tech, and in particular the gaming industry, is tied to this stuff now. Like, there's no getting around it.
Yeah. It's you have to travel for a lot of different work.
Yeah.
It's really common for a lot of people in their day-to-day work to have to travel. So
right,
it's having quite the effect on the gaming industry for sure.
I don't like it.
As I mentioned at the top of the show, like it's really hitting the esports world. That's where it made it real for me. Is when I was tuning into ASL and I'm like, wow, that studio was empty.
Yeah,
I'm used to seeing chairs and people. And
for me, is when I saw a short video playing on Twitter or something of some awesome win, and I don't even know what game it was, but everybody up on their computers on the stage jumped up and they were all wearing respirators. And I just went, that looks apocalyptic. Like,
yeah.
everybody
At a
going,
certain point, though, I think
we
it's good
won.
too. Because
It is good. It is good.
I think it's a good thing. It makes it real. It educates people, and also like just seeing people wearing respirators regularly. It makes it less and less weird to wear one, so that you protect yourself.
Yeah, it takes away that weird stigma that we have for it, that everyone looks like patient zero, and it's even that's actually a really good thing. But yeah, everyone just be careful. That's all I'm saying. If you're going to GDC, or if they even still have it, just I don't know, just don't touch anything.
Take precautions.
Yeah, take reasonable precautions. Okay, let's take our leave. Before we go, though, so a couple of quick things. It'll be next week sometime. People will get that bonus show, so look for that. Again, a deep dive into why Classic is frustrating so many people, and maybe some of the things they're doing right. We're not going to just make it a negative fest, but we'll see how that goes. And also, don't forget the instance.net for everything else for this show. Those archives I just talked about, most of that stuff is up on the backup feed, so you can get back to a lot of those old episodes if that's a thing you want to do with your life. I can't imagine why you would, but hey, if you do, go for it. Garrett, anything in your world going on this week people should be checking out for sure?
amove.tv for everything. Everything is back now. The travel is over. Big, massive episode of The Angry Chicken. If you're interested in what's going on in Battlegrounds, check that out. A brand new episode of WoW Killer with Taliesin and myself just went out. And let's talk about Star Wars. We'll be returning next week with me and Tom Merritt and Jenny Josephson. We're going to be covering the first 2 episodes of Clone Wars' final season.
Oh, right. That just started. Yeah.
Yeah, man. That might honestly be my favorite Star Wars thing ever. I really love the Clone Wars.
You're not alone. There are a lot of people in that camp really like that thing. It's funny that I know people who universally loathe the prequels but love the Clone Wars.
That team really knows how to play in that world.
Yep. I mean, they redeemed it as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, absolutely. Katie loves it. Like it was a big bonding moment for Katie and I when we first started binging it together. And we were watching through like the last 3. There's like a final like 3 episode arc for the character of Ahsoka in season 5, because season 6 was a weird half season that Netflix did. And it's just incredible. And I was kind of watching it, and I turned to Katie. I'm like, they gave me the Anakin I wanted out of the prequels, which is something I don't think about. When I think about Clone Wars, I think about Ahsoka.
Yeah.
But I was watching those 3 episodes and watching like the character of Anakin and how they portray his tendencies. And I'm like, man, this is what I wanted from the character, like in his journey to become Vader. And Lucas couldn't do it. He couldn't give it to me. And you give it to Dave Filoni and the crew making the Clone Wars, and they absolutely killed it.
Yeah, they really did. Well, if you like that just even that brief discussion there, let's talk about Star Wars as your jam. So check it out. amove.tv for details. In my world, there's a few things going on. I've got this new comic I'm very proud of that's going every week called Fred and Can. It's about a guy and his expired can of cream corn and their adventures together. Sounds weird? It is. Go check it out.
It's so zany.
Love it. It's pretty weird. FredCanComic.com. I'm very proud of it. Happy with it. I'd love your feedback. Go check it out. That's FredCanComic.com. Also, I want to thank a few people who have supported us on our Instance Plus subscription. Those people are John Pryor, Jonathan Wyman, Joseph Kirby, and Josh Daly are just a few of the people who support us over there. If you don't know what that is or what that does, you get bonus shows early, you get content in the mail, you get all kinds of cool stuff. And best part is we made it ourselves. No third party is sticking their nose in it. It's just us. It's just me and Garrett and Patrick doing our thing. So if you want to support it, head on over to theinstance.net, click on the Instance Plus link, and boom, you're in. You can get in super low if you want. I think they're the
John
lowest
Pryor. That name sounds familiar. Hi, John.
Yeah, isn't that nice of him to do that? He doesn't even need to do that, and he's just the nicest guy. He's the owner and purveyor of all things Doghouse Systems, and even he supports the show in that regard. So if you want to be like John Pryor or any of these other guys, go check it out. That's at theinstance.net. Okay. Well, I think that's going to do it for us. Thanks, everybody, for being here. Thanks for hanging out with us. We'll be back next time with more great content. And some of those evolutions in 2020 may be happening sooner than you think. I don't know. We're also playing a little bit around with the idea of a different record date, but we'll get to you on that soon enough. Don't worry. Don't worry about it for now. Everything's normal for now. Don't worry about it. That's going to do it for us. For me, for Garrett, and for the now not in Japan Patrick. We'll see you next time.
Hi.
show is part of the Frog Pants Network. Yes. Get more at frogpants.com.